Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. Got another 2024 rookie report. My podcast co host and I, Jason DiRienzo. The two of us, we are going to break down everything you need to know about Mr. Bo Nix, career statistics, PFF grades. We've broken down his film. We're going to talk about his scouting report, his draft capital, his dynasty projections, maybe even throw a player comp in or two. So you play Devy, you play Dynasty. And you're looking for a YouTube channel out there that's going to give you an early look at not only this class, but we're already breaking down 2025 class, 2026 class, and in some cases, even introducing you to freshmen who will potentially be 2027 NFL draft players. Yeah, that's what this channel's all about. So hit that subscribe button. Help me grow the channel. Let's get to the show. That'll be our entree, Jason, into our first rookie report. And let's talk about Mr. Bo Nix. All right, 5-year player. The first 3 years at Auburn, goes to Oregon for 2 years, really resurrected his career, 6'1", 218 pounds. So 5-year player, like I said. Let's go over his career statistics. Over 1,100 passes, 14,000 yards, 101 TDs, 24 interceptions, TD ratio 4.2. Overall completion percentage over 5 seasons, 65.7%. And I know it was a lot better in 2023. I think it was over 70. Yards per average, 7.9. He's got some rushing ability. I'm going to talk about that when we get to his scouting report a little bit. He had 245 rushes for 1,800 yards, 38 TDs on the ground, had 22 fumbles over 5 seasons. I've certainly seen worse and have seen better, but I think ball security is something that, isn't a major concern with Bo Nix. But his passing grades here on PFF, 92 overall, no pressure grade, good pressure grade. Look at that, 91, highest percentile, which I find astonishing watching his film. Though he can definitely move around and make plays off script. His adjusted completion percentage, 85.4, is first in college football for the 2023 season, which is pretty remarkable. Average depth of target, 6.8. Big time throw rate was 4.1. That was over the 100th mark in college football. So, I mean, the dude's been a productive player for 5 seasons.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the production really came when he was in an opportunity to maximize his strengths. And I think one of the strengths we'll talk about is just kind of getting the ball out quickly. And that helped him a lot with what Oregon was asking him to do.
Yeah, so let's get right into his scouting report. I mean, watching him all season. I mean, Oregon was fun. When you scout Troy Franklin, you get to watch Bo Nix. When you scout Bucky Irving, you're scouting Bo Nix as well. So we've watched a ton of film on this guy, and I just recently watched the Pac-12 championship against Washington. I really wanted to see that game and that moment. Right. First, the thing that when you watch that film, there's good and bad, and I'll talk about the good first. Was the mobility, I think, is. The guy has got the ability to, win downfield. He's got the ability to maneuver in the pocket, create space for himself, give himself steps into the pocket. At times he seems jittery, when he's back there and can kind of, get a little, I think sometimes he leaves the pocket a little bit, but the NFL, they love the mobility of quarterbacks, and he's going to be able to get himself out of trouble. His ability to play off script, I thought, was pretty good. I mean, the accuracy, I think you're going to talk about here shortly, isn't great when he's on the run, but at least he gives it a valiant effort. But so he's got that athleticism. He's got that mobility that NFL franchises, I think, are going to like. I mean, shit, they're talking about him now in the first round, which I think is little, a little overboard as well. But I think the thing that too, I think that NFL teams are going to like with him, are his intangibles. I've said it many times on the podcast and videos on YouTube and stuff, is just his ability. He went to Auburn under an enormous amount of pressure. And, you talk about, what he did following his father there. For 3 years, he was SEC Freshman of the Year, had the controversy, kind of transferred and then, rebirthed his career, like you said. And I think he's tested. I think he's mentally tested, having, been in the pressure cooker, playing in the Pac-12 in one of the better organizations, by the teams and the pressure cooker at Auburn. So I think NFL teams are going to like that about him.
Absolutely. I mean, he's definitely a guy that you want in the locker room. He's got that competitive nature to him, on and off the field. So, yeah, I think NFL teams are really going to fall in love with who he is as a competitor, as a leader, as a guy who's going to build morale, and overcoming the adversity is a huge check mark, too. What he dealt with at Auburn, he could have taken with him to Oregon. He didn't do that. He found a fresh start and he allowed himself to, manifest that fresh start without having the residual effects of what happened with Auburn Auburn, and I completely and utterly respect that. I think with me, you talked about the mobility. I agree with you. I like the fact that he's mobile and he does it strategically. Like he might leave the pocket early. I wouldn't say it's something he does all the time, but he is definitely strategic that if he doesn't get the first read, he will take off. And maybe that's also another thing that falls in line with a knock I have is he's not really a progressional reader. If his first read isn't there, he kind of breaks down and he either forces a throw or he escapes the pocket. So his progression as a progressional reader, he's going to have to do a much better job at that at the next level. And again, I'm gonna talk about the competitiveness because I really feel like he's just a natural competitor at nature. Like he
Mhm.
always wants to do what he can to win. He wants to put the game on his shoulders if he absolutely has to. But at the same time, he's going to maximize the talent that's around him. We saw him throw the ball to Tez Johnson, his adopted brother, who had a really nice season. Troy Franklin really came on. I think a lot of that had to do with Bo Nix getting him the ball and allowing him to work after the catch.
Mhm.
Terrence Ferguson. So he can really elevate the players around him, which is great. My biggest concern that I have for him is 30% of his throws came at or behind the line of scrimmage. So that's a big problem.
Mhm.
Especially when you look at the average depth target shown here, 6.8, he's going to have to be able to throw it downfield. And that actually, the intermediate and deep parts of the field is where the accuracy really breaks down, especially if it's an anticipatory throw and he has to throw his receivers open in those areas, definitely outside the hash marks. I saw a lot of overthrows and underthrows. So that's a portion of his game that he's really going to have to work on and harness. He's going to have to get into a room with his receivers and really time and get the rhythm down with the breaking of the routes so he can be on time with them. That's a part of his game I am definitely concerned about.
Yeah, I would encourage everyone who's watching this video, if you really want to scout Bo Nix, go watch his Pac-12 game versus Washington. There's a YouTube channel.
Oh
Just
yeah. Oh, so bad.
yeah, just type in Bo Nix versus Washington, and someone cut up every throw and every play. And I want you to watch what I watched, and the inaccuracy was
Hmm.
visible all over the field. But I'll tell you what, I watched that video twice. The second time I watched it, I just watched his footwork and his the way he would shift his momentum from his back foot to it, all the mechanics, and man, I'll tell you, it was rough to watch some of these throwing off his back foot. He's backpedaling, trying to, and you brought up a really good point that, really, I think solidifies that he really forces throws a lot. He really tries to thread the needle,
Ah,
which sometimes when it works, it's, everyone posts it on Twitter and says, look how great he is. But man, a lot of times he's putting that ball in danger, really trying to force it. And I agree 100%. The accuracy vertically, yeah, he hit, Troy Franklin on quite a few really nice rainbow deep balls this year, but on a
oh, for sure. Yeah.
consistent basis, it really isn't there. So
Mhm.
let's get right into his draft capital. I just I'm going to do a mock rookie draft with a couple guys, and I just found a mock draft, and he was taken in the first round, and I mean, I don't
Oh,
know.
you don't see it.
I'm just having a hard time. I mean, again, and we're going to talk about comps, and I think that's his comp that I'll talk about here shortly is like where I think he should be getting drafted. A player that I thought was much better than Bo Nix, and he can't even make it in the NFL. But first round draft capital, and so he's going to be a first, second. He might slide into the second. I mean, again, they're mock drafts, so it was towards the end of the first round. So I mean, there's a good likelihood that he's not going to go until the second round in the draft. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I got a 3rd, 4th round grade on him right now.
Hmm.
So, that's my grade. Where he gets taken, obviously, the positional value is gonna boost him up.
Hmm.
And then, like I said, the ability to overcome the adversity coming from Auburn to Oregon is definitely gonna be something scouts and NFL teams are gonna take into account. I do think he goes in the late 1st round somewhere. There's just too many teams that need a quarterback, and there's too many coaches that think they can fix him and use him. So
They can fix Knicks, huh? Is that it? They can
they can fix
they
Nick,
can
yeah.
they can fix
They
Knicks. All
can
right. I think
or
I'm gonna
they can, do something with Bubble Screen Bo, as he's being called,
yeah,
so,
yeah, the
yeah,
senior ball, right? That's too
yeah.
funny, right? So yeah, so rookie drafts, I mean, he's gonna be a second round pick. I mean, if he gets first round draft capital, there's gonna be people that have this philosophy. And I've been burned so many times getting drafting quarterbacks early in rookie drafts if they get round one draft capital, and over half of them really never succeed anyway. So this is not somebody I'm going to target in the first round. If he's at the late second and gets a juicy landing spot, I think I might take a swing with him, but I'm not going to reach for him in the first round of a rookie draft.
No, I won't either. He would be a guy that, depending upon landing spot and, a path to a starting position, I might be intrigued later on, but he might not be a guy I have on my roster, honestly. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I'll be targeting him. I think I'd rather collect some of these receivers and running backs.
Yeah, I hear you there. So as far as my dynasty comp, I was always a Sam Howell fan coming out of UNC. He is kind
Mhm.
of my comp, similar size, similar mobility. They can throw the ball, big arms, they can throw it all around the field. I mean, Sam Howell, do you remember that one year where it felt like all the NFL franchises got smart and like they didn't draft the Matt Corrals and all those
Oh,
guys,
yeah.
like forcing them up
Not till
into
the middle
this.
of the rounds.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
mean, Sam Howell was a 5th round draft pick. I mean,
right.
and he came out of UNC, and it's like, wow, that was the year that it's like the bottom dropped out of all these quarterbacks. We're like, oh, okay, well, maybe these teams aren't going. I feel like the pendulum has swung the other way again, and we're lifting these quarterbacks up just because of the need of the NFL teams. But Sam Howell's my comp for him.
Yeah, I could absolutely see it. I mean, dude, Sam Howell was a dual threat quarterback. I think he had like
Mhm.
double digit rushing touchdowns his final season at UNC. So, yeah, that's a whole different thing. But yeah, I completely agree with that comp. I have Kellen Mond. I see some of the same things. Kellen Mond was a mobile quarterback, a competitor. Some of the same issues: downfield inaccuracies, good on short routes, got the ball out quick. I see some of the same similarities between him and Bo Nix. Hopefully Bo Nix can have a different path because really I am rooting for the kid. I think the story
Yeah.
is amazing and I'm really proud of what he's done in his collegiate career to get to this point. But I do see Kellen Mond when I watch Bo Nix.
Yeah, well, we just have to be real. We want all these guys
Yeah.
to make it. But again,
Oh yeah.
we
Yeah.
brought up the point before. It's like these guys got to sit, they got to continue to work, and get better and develop. It's a big transition to the NFL, as we all know. All right, there is our rookie report on Mr. Bo Nix.